Welcome back. So, continuing where we last left off, this time we're going to cover adding analytics or agents to your simulation. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add an object to your scene so that you can store some variables that we'll be using. Variables or attributes are able to be populated with values that you're then able to reference and utilize, but they do need an object that they live on initially. So we're going to create two custom attributes on our circular display here. The first one we're going to create is called feedback. We're going to make this of a string type. What we're going to use here will become clear in a minute. But this is where the system is going to score and evaluate the user, and it's going to store that as text that we're able to view and retrieve. The next one is going to be score. This one we're going to leave as an integer, and I'm just going to initially set it at a value of 0. So, moving forward from there, we're going to go back to our Sky tab. Here, we have our Chit Chat tab, and we're going to go to the Agent tabs. Now, agents are similar to the Chit Chat tab, except here, you're able to have things that run in the background. They don't necessarily interact with the user, but they're able to view and evaluate and see the actions that the user is taking and evaluate and give responses based on that. And we're going to use it here to score the user's responses as they go through it and provide feedback on how they can improve. So, in order to do that, you'll first want to create a new agent. This will automatically populate your drop down here with the agent, and we're going to name it for the purpose that this agent will serve. This one is going to evaluate how succinctly our communication is being done. Okay, and you can see our agent value here is updated to match that. Next, you're able to select when your agent is going to run, whether it runs through the state machine where you set it off, after every user utterance, or run after any character gives a response. In this case, we're going to have it run after every user utterance. Next is the option to use the history or not. This determines basically whether or not it's going to use the entire context of the history of the conversation that has occurred up to this point when it is evaluating, or if it's only going to look at the last response given by the user in this case, which is what we want to do, so we're going to deselect this use history. Next, we're going to write the instructions that our agent is going to follow. In this case, we're going to tell the agent that they are an assessment expert whose goal is to evaluate the text responses given by a user in a role-play simulation. Users are expected to communicate ideas, information effectively, minimizing unintended confusion, misinformation, and offense. Please score each utterance given by the user for the aspect of communication succinctly, meaning that the communication is short, without excess, and the utterance will be scored on a scale between 0 to 2, where 2 means that they performed extremely well, and 0 means that they did poorly. We only want them to score the user's response, and do not score the response given by the AI. Then, you're also going to provide the user feedback on how well they demonstrated their succinct communication skills. So with this, we've given the instructions to our agent, but we're not currently storing this output of the score and the feedback. In order to do that, you need to link the agent's output to a variable, which is why we made these before. So we're going to add a new output. For the first one, we're going to add a feedback attribute. So here, it's just going to be the title of feedback, and the description of it is this is the feedback for the user to improve their ability to communicate succinctly. Our output destination is our only object in the scene, the circular display, and by going to the drop-down, we're going to scroll down here, and we're going to select feedback. We're going to add a second one, the title of which is going to be score for communicating succinctly, and the result that we are looking for is the score for each utterance made by the user for communicating succinctly. Moving from there, we're going to select the score option here. So with this, we're able to have our agent set up, and we're able to see what's going on here. So, what we could do now, in order to test this, is go through our simulation again and look at the logs. However, in order to make it easier, you're able to test your agent within the application itself. In order to do that, you would hit Start Conversation with your agent selected to test your responses. This will take you immediately into a blank conversation with your system, which will respond based off of this chit-chat prompt you have here. So if I were to talk and type with this as I would before, so I would go, "Hi, Sarah. My name is Chris, and we're slammed with work here. There is an issue at the bar." Okay? So if I go here, and this is the response, I can see how the agent responds to this by selecting my agent and hitting Run Test by selecting it here with the selector agent and then Run Test. And we can see here it's evaluating and saying, "Great job, your message was clear and concise, we can easily understand the situation quickly," and it gave me a score of 2, which based off of my scores here is the best that I could do on this. And I'm able to have a full conversation here with my agent going through it and having it run through and evaluate this test with it. So if I were to go here, tell me more about the issue at the bar. The bar has run out of ice and we don't have any more on hand. Okay, so this is the response. Yes, the freezer apparently failed and we weren't informed. Okay, so this is a situation in which we're able to test both our chit-chat agent or our chit-chat system as well as our agents and see how it responds to each of these responses, as it gives us evaluations for each. Now, another feature that you're able to do here, if you go back to Conversations, is you're able to see past experiences and conversations that have happened before. So if I were to go to here, I can view and edit a conversation, and here we can see what happened in my first experience. And by looking at this, I can see what a user said, and if an agent was run through it, I could see what the agent scored on it. It did not exist when we did this before. As such, there is no agent evaluation for us to view. Other things that we can do that are rather interesting is we can see, based off of the history that the chit-chat agent is responding from, we can enter edit mode. And we're able to diverge the path and see if the responses were any different or better based off of what we feel is a better response or anything else. So with this, we're able to stress test and go through the entire process with your agent. Please note, you're able to do this with any version of the simulation that you are experiencing, whether it is chit-chat based, 3D, or anywhere in between. So with this, I'm going to launch my simulation once more, this time with our agent running throughout.
How are things going at the event?
Hi, Sarah. Things are going a little bit crazy at the event. Kira thinks it would be probably best if we cut alcohol from our servings for the rest of the day.
I see, it's unfortunate to hear that things have taken a turn. Could you please tell me more about the situation? Is there a specific incident that caused this decision? Or is it more of a general concern about the atmosphere of the event?
More of a concern about the atmosphere of the event. Tensions are kind of running high, apparently, between individuals, and alcohol is probably ill-advised to be included at this time.
I understand your concern completely. It's important to maintain a peaceful and pleasant atmosphere at the event. Given the circumstances, I agree that it would be best to stop serving alcohol for now. We have a variety of non-alcoholic beverages that we can serve instead. I can instruct the bartenders to only serve these for the rest of the event. Does that sound like a good solution to you?
That sounds like a good solution to me, Sarah. Also, we have a problem. There are 20 extra guests who were not on the list. They are requesting food service.
Oh, that is indeed a surprise. We had prepared for an extra 15 guests, but 20 is a bit more than expected. However, let's not panic. We can serve the 15 extra meals to 15 of those guests. For the remaining 5, we can see if there are any guests who did not show up or who are not eating, and we can serve them those meals. Alternatively, we could offer them a selection of appetizers and desserts which we usually have in surplus. What do you think about this approach?
So as you can see here, the simulation is able to respond flexibly to any input that I give. And as we have agents that we have run, if I quit my simulation here, and I were to go to the analytics of this sim, or I were to go into the Sky conversations and view my past experiences with them, I'd be able to test the agent and see the responses. So, going to the analytics page, over here, we can bring up the analytics by hitting this button here. This will bring us to our dashboard. You can select your simulation here, find your session data that you had occurring, and you can view the details of that simulation. On our next video, we'll go through the process of converting your simulation into a full 3D one. Thank you.